The warship descended through Earth's atmosphere like a falling star wrapped in rage. Its hull, obsidian and ancient, bore the marks of 1,000 conquered worlds. The Felinar had come for their dead. Naira Solen had been barely 8 cycles old when the colony ship crashed. The navigation error that sent the vessel careening into Earth's Pacific Ocean had killed everyone aboard. Everyone except the small, golden-furred cub found clinging to debris 3 days later. Her tiny claws dug deep into a fragment of hull plating, her emerald eyes wide with terror and confusion. That was 6 months ago. Now, the Felinar Dominion's retrieval fleet hung in orbit like a noose around humanity's throat. They had come for Nira's body. Protocol dictated it. When a cub of the Felinar died far from home, the Alphas, their warrior caste, would retrieve the remains with all honors. What they did to the world that had allowed such a death, however, was written in the ashes of 17 civilizations. Selene Kell stood in the medical bay of the International Rescue Coordination Center, her hand resting gently on the biopod containing Nirasolan. The human doctor had spent 6 months working miracles, pushing the boundaries of xenobiology further than any human had dared. The child within the pod looked peaceful, her small chest rising and falling with mechanical precision, kept alive by machines that breathed for her, that pumped blood through veins that had forgotten how. They're demanding an answer within the hour. Director Chen's voice crackled through the intercom. Celine, we need to give them the body. If we don't, she's not a body, Celine interrupted, her voice soft but unyielding. She's a patient who will never wake up. You said so yourself. Brain death, complete systemic failure. The machines are all that's keeping. I said the prognosis was poor. I never said impossible. Through the viewport, Celine could see the smaller Felinar landing craft descending toward the facility. They came as they always did. 3 alphas, each standing over 8 feet tall, their bodies rippling with the predatory grace that had made them apex hunters on 100 worlds. Their ceremonial armor gleamed silver in Earth's unfamiliar sun. Selene had read the reports. The Felinar didn't negotiate. They didn't accept excuses. They took what was theirs, and they made examples of those who stood in their way. The smart move, the survival move, was to disconnect the machines, wrap Nira in honor claws, and hand her over with humanity's deepest apologies. But Selene Kale had spent her entire career refusing to accept what was smart when a child's life hung in the balance. The Alphas entered the facility with the bearing of executioners attending a solemn duty. Their leader, Commander Thaxaron, moved with a fluid power that made the armed human guards flanking him look like children playing soldier. His amber eyes swept the medical bay with barely contained fury. "Where is the cub?" His voice was a rumble that seemed to vibrate through the floor itself. Director Chen stepped forward, his hands raised in a placating gesture. "Commander, we have prepared." "I asked where the cub is." Celine stepped between them and the biopod. At 5'6", she barely reached the commander's chest, but she planted her feet and met his gaze without flinching. "Nira Solon is right here, Commander. She's stable." Thaxaron's eyes narrowed. "Stable? We received notification of her death 4 months ago. We have come to bring her home." The notification was premature. Celine's hand moved to the biopod's control panel. She suffered catastrophic injuries in the crash. Multiple organ failures. Severe neurological trauma. By any conventional measure, she should have died. But we didn't let her. Humans do not possess the medical knowledge to treat Felinar physiology. The commander's words were not a question, but an accusation. "You're right, we don't." Selene pulled up a holographic display showing the intricate web of interventions keeping Nira alive. "So we learned. We studied every fragment of data from your colony ship's medical bay. We consulted with every xenobiologist on the planet. We invented new procedures, created new medicines. We've kept her alive for 6 months, Commander, because that's what we do. We don't give up on children." The second alpha, a female warrior named Kesra, moved closer to the pod. Her fierce expression softened as she gazed at the small, motionless cub. "But she does not wake. She does not breathe on her own. This is not life. This is prolonging death." "It's buying time," Celine countered. 3 weeks ago, she couldn't regulate her own temperature. 2 weeks ago, her liver started functioning again on its own. Last week, we detected REM sleep patterns. She's healing slowly, but she's healing. How long? Thaxeron's question cut through the air like a blade. I don't know, months, maybe years. Maybe, Celine's voice caught. Maybe never, but she's alive, Commander. And as long as she's alive, there's hope. The Felinar commander stared at her for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then he turned to Director Chen. Your species has no obligation to this cub. No treaty binds you to her care. The cost of such treatment must be substantial. Chen shifted uncomfortably. The resources committed to this case have been irrelevant, Celine interjected. She's a child who needed help. That's the only calculation that matters. Kesra made a sound that might have been a laugh or a growl. Your species is strange, human. We have conquered worlds that had more power than yours. We have broken empires that had more wisdom. But we have never encountered a people foolish enough to pour their resources into saving a single dying cub of another species. Then you've never encountered humanity before, Celine replied. Thaxeron reached out slowly, his massive clawed hand touching the biopod's surface with surprising gentleness. For several heartbeats, he simply stood there looking at the small, golden-furred child suspended in medical sleep. When he finally spoke, his voice had lost its edge. The Felinar do not abandon our cubs, but we also do not prolong suffering without purpose. He turned to Celine. If we leave her in your care, what assurances can you give that she will receive the honor she deserves? I can't promise she'll survive, Celine said honestly. I can only promise that we'll fight for her every single day, that we'll celebrate every small victory and never stop searching for a way to bring her back. And if the worst happens, if despite everything we try, she slips away, we'll be with her. She won't die alone. She won't die uncared for. And the three alphas exchanged glances, communicating in the silent way of warriors who had fought together for decades. Finally, Thaxeron gave a slight nod. Very well, Dr. Kale. The Dominion will defer its claim. He leaned closer, his amber eyes burning with intensity. But understand this, we will return in 6 months. If the cub has not improved, if she remains trapped in this half-life, we will take her home. This is not cruelty, it is mercy. I understand, Celine said. 6 months. As the alphas turned to leave, Kesra paused. Why? She asked simply. Why fight so hard for one small life? Selena looked at the biopod, at the tiny chest rising and falling, at the monitors tracking every fragile heartbeat. When she answered, her voice carried the weight of every human who had ever looked at the impossible and refused to accept it. Because maybe humanity isn't measured by the worlds we conquer or the power we wield. Maybe we're measured by the wars we fight for those who can't fight for themselves. Even if it's a war against death itself. Even if the odds are impossible. Especially then. The Alphas departed in silence, their warship ascending through the clouds like a promise postponed. In the medical bay, Selene returned to her work, adjusting medications, monitoring